Ask yourself a simple question. Does the world need so much music? Hell, does the world need so much content? Hi everyone, welcome back to the Ministry of Guitar. I'm Utkarsh. Firstly, we will acknowledge the irony of this entire conversation, given that I am making content right here, and I am making music. So let's just walk on past that. But here's the thing: creative endeavors, typically for most of human history, was the preserve of very few talented people. And the reason for that was societies weren't that efficient in allocating resources or indeed having resources because of technology. So most people were just doing things to make sure that everybody got food to eat, everybody got a place of shelter, basically the basic needs. There was very little excess left for people to be artists, musicians, writers, thinkers, whatever it might be. That was the case for most of human history. Of course, in the last 500 years, we've seen significant advances in productivity, significant advances such that having a home over your head, having a shelter over your head, and having food on the table, the very basic need has literally become basic. And everybody wants more, and everybody has time to seek for more. This is not to say that we don't have stressful jobs, we are extremely deprived for time. But for the majority of us, we are not living at a level where we are worrying about where our next meal is going to come from and whether we will have a roof over our heads. For that, a lot of it is taken, a lot of us have that taken for granted. And a lot of us do indeed have a weekend or at least some free time. This really was not the case. This free time compounded with the ability now to broadcast whatever you do to the world instantly, just like I'm doing right now, means that suddenly everybody has the time to be an artist or to explore their artistic side and broadcast it to the world. Consequently, a lot more music is getting made, billions or trillions of hours of content is being made, and that's what's going on, and everybody's trying to grab each other's attention. I see this as good and bad. I see this as good because people have time to articulate and express their creativity. So, this is a good thing. This can't be very bad. But it is also a bad thing because if someone is creative, they are rather expecting other people to pay attention to them. They're rather expecting the fruit of their creative labors is something that brings joy and happiness, or at the very least, some sort of meaning into other people's lives. That is the entire point of being creative. But the sad truth is that if everybody's being creative, everybody's producing content, and I use the term everybody generally because obviously some people are not doing it, then where is the audience? How many people have how much attention do you have? How much attention does the average person have to pay attention to everybody trying to grab your attention? Advertising companies trying to grab your attention, tech companies trying to make sure you spend time on the platform. And add to that all of these frustrated artists, creators, vloggers, whatever you want to call them. It's a tough one. It's a tough one because if you think about it deeply, what you will realize is it is a bit of a winner takes it all. To win, you need to do things that you may not want to do. And for the majority, if you think that you're just being creative and the world will love you for it, maybe there was a time when, because there weren't that many people doing it and you were reasonably skilled, that would be the case. But now you are just another piece of noise, another piece of content, another piece of something trying to grasp people's attention as they make their way through their day. Or add to all of this is our attention span, which has been destroyed in the last 20 years, mainly due to the attention seeking strategies and tactics employed by companies to grab our attention, right? This is not a small piece. The biggest companies in the world are based on grabbing our attention. I've talked about this in other videos because they can harness our attention to either sell it to advertisers or harness our attention to increase our purchase intent for product, aka advertising. So we buy more stuff that can then be used by the companies who sell us the stuff to buy more advertising. So that's where we are staying. So if you are a creative person, you think that you're going to put a book out there, put a poem out there, put it out on your Insta or TikTok or whatever it might be, chances of success are very low. And you're just adding a lot of noise into this. Now the obvious question becomes, is there any point then? If you want to be an artist, if you're like me, you want to be a writer or a musician or whatever, is there any point? Should you even do this? Or are you damned to basically a lifetime of a lot of creative output which nobody will see, which nobody will hear, which nobody will care for? I think the answer is mixed. On one hand, yes, majority of stuff that is created, even by people who people care about. Like this entire video came to me because I was reading on Music Radar and I hear about some member of a rock band. I'm not going to mention who's because I don't want to slight anybody, but some former member of some rock band is releasing their solo album, or another person from this band, they use this particular set of keyboards on this particular song on that particular album, which probably nobody has heard of, right? Because ultimately, the songs that most people have heard, that has become an entire industry in terms of blasting it in your face. Something like Bruno Mars and Rose's APT or ABT, whatever that's called. But the majority of music being churned out, even by people that you know, some of them may have a small loyal base, but a lot of it is not being heard of by anybody in meaningful numbers. So it's not a question of you just being an anonymous person. Even if you're famous, it's very difficult to get people to care about you. Right? So does that mean you should do anything? No, I think you should. You should just temper your expectations, try to do your best, especially if it's a creative urge. And the creative urge is, I think, the most important thing. If you're doing this for fame and fortune, if you're doing something creative for fame and fortune, now is not necessarily the time. Because what you will find ultimately that it's not the creativity that's getting you the fame and fortune. It is the appeasing the powers that be, getting the connections that matter, getting the right money to push your product, to push your image, to push you out there. That will go, that is being part of that commercial machine is what is going to get you fame and fortune. But if the objective is to just express, and maybe a person here, a person there, they get some value out of what you are expressing. It will not make you into a superstar, but maybe it will give a small group of people some level of value. I think that is probably the right expectation to set when you're doing something creative. And ultimately, if you're doing something creative, you should be doing it for yourself. That's what I think, at least. So that you and I don't add too much to the noise of constant distractions and just endless content to this world, but rather we do things for ourselves, not just looking for the appeasement or looking for the attention of others. Anyways, let me know what you think, and I'll see you next time.